UFC 311 is this Saturday, the Battle of the Caucasus, and this may be the prediction video that gets me flamed hard, but after coming off a pretty good set of predictions last week, going 10-4 when most people were crapping the bed, we were over here getting underdog picks, alright? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, there's going to be some underdog picks in this one, a bit more than I'm a little comfortable with. But, you know, you take my picks at your own risk. You can listen to my rationale, whether you like it or not. Get another opinion, whatever. But let's get into it. If you see a little money symbol there, that means it's a bet-friendly favorite. I think that's a good one to always go with. And then we got our little emotional underdogs. So let's get into it with the early prelims. First up, we got Bekoev versus Clayton Carpenter. We're going with the Carpenter, all right? We're going with him. Now that might be a risky pick. Bekoev has a good jab. He has decent striking. Most flyweights are pretty well rounded, you know, and Bekoev has the height advantage. But I think Carpenter has the strength advantage. I think he has the boxing advantage. And Clayton Carpenter also has excellent grappling. How he won his last fight against Rocha, who was 17-1. That was Carpenter, I'm pretty sure, his debut. Into the UFC. May have been one fight before that. I'd have to go back and check, but I think Clayton Carpenter has got this, all right? Bekoev, he does have, now this is where I'm going to like kind of qualify my statement here. Bekoev, he's got a good variety of takedowns. He does a lot of takedowns even with like top body over under and then using the trips, using things like that, which may be good against Carpenter. But I think Carpenter is going to beat him in the boxing. He's going to be really good with the takedown defense, and he's going to know when to go in and use his moments. I think he's going to have a massive strength advantage over Bekoev. I don't think Bekoev is going to be able to keep him down at all. So we're going to have our first underdog, first fight on the card. So go ahead and give you that one. Next, we got Ricky Turcios and Spivac. I hate to pick against my boy Ricky Turcios. He was my favorite in The Ultimate Fighter. You know what I'm saying? Him and Brian battled both. I mean, those were the fan favorites for me, and they both won. And Turcios had a decent little run in the beginning in the UFC, and I like his style, but it seems like his long career has honestly just built up a lot of damage. And I think he doesn't fight at the same level as what he used to. I think he's good in terms of throwing out high volume and things like that, but I think Spivac is going to have the edge here in a lot of areas. I don't think Turcios is going to be able to get under him for takedowns. I don't think Turcios is going to be able to knock Spivac out. I think Spivac might even TKO or KO Turcios. And don't get me wrong, Turcios has a great chin. But I think Spivac is just going to put on too much damage and maybe even get a submission. Even though Turcios has got great scrambling ability, Spivac he lost his last fight against Vinicius Oliveira. But remember, short notice, Vinicius Oliveira is a massive bantamweight. He was preparing for that fight. And Spivac he beat him the first round, almost got the finish by getting the back and all that. Got his back in the second round, I think, as well. But with Vinicius Oliveira landing pretty damaging shots at the end of that second round, really gassed out Spivac, who was probably looking for an early finish, seeing as that was probably his best chance. And also, Spivac is fighting out of Sweden, I think, at the All-Stars, too. So it's like a good gym, too, good training partner. So we're going to go with Spivac. I think that's a good favorite to lean on here. I think I may have him in the parlay later, but we'll see. Next, we have Nakamura versus Gafarov. Man, you don't know how much I wanted to pick Gafarov. Man, you don't know how much I wanted to pick Gafarov. You don't know how long I was bouncing back and forth between these two. Nakamura is a great prospect. Fantastic prospect. He's one of those wrestlers, similar to Jacoby Smith, who has great wrestling prowess. Probably not as good as Jacoby Smith. I think Jacoby Smith has a bit more a finishing ability on the ground in terms of submission and ground and pound, but Nakamura has got that same wrestling pedigree and power on the feet. A decent striking. He's very reckless in my opinion. Where I think Gafarov, and look, if you want to go against this pick and bet Gafarov, I'm not going to call you dumb. I think Gafarov has that, that one-shot boop power. I really think he does, and he loves to swing through his uppercuts. His uppercuts, when he misses them in his last fight against Kong, this bad boy would be all the way up here after he's done with it. So I think he could catch Nakamura. Gafarov has shown a pretty decent ability to get back up and just keep scrambling and not accept positions. But Nakamura, I think he's just sadly too good at controlling on the ground, getting to good control positions like north-south. And I don't think Gafarov is going to be able to knock him out over 3 rounds. Even though how much I wanted it to happen and I wanted to pick him, I couldn't do it. But not a bad call if you put a little bit on Gafarov. And you maybe have a little side parlay as like your secondary parlay with a little Gafarov as your one underdog maybe in that parlay. I don't think that's a bad idea. But in terms of my pick, I got to go with Nakamura. Next we got Rosa versus Perez. You got to go Rosa. Perez... I think we know what she's known for. Her post-fight antics with the Tukis. And, you know, I'm a fan. Who wouldn't be? But Rosa's got great striking. Very competent striking. And great takedown defense. And I don't think Perez is just going to be able to get what she wants to do, like, done. I just don't think she will. I think Rosa is going to be able to edge out a bit. I don't think this is necessarily a safe fight to bet on, though. Yeah, I just don't. I don't think there's enough competition that these two have been through to really make a clean determination. So yeah, but we're gonna go with Rosa there. Rosa, great fight coming up next. Dawson versus Ferreira. Oh, gosh, this is such a good matchup. Dawson, he's got great grappling. So does Ferreira. But what is the difference for me? Whereas Dawson tries to keep control on top, Ferreira is not. I think it's Ferreira. Is he Brazilian or is he Latin American? I can't remember. So I might be pronouncing that wrong. But Ferreira's scrambling ability is just, it's on another level. It's on another level. I don't think Dawson is going to have a chance of keeping Ferreira down. Ferreira would be if he didn't have the weight problems, this man would have been way ahead, way long ago. There was I don't know what it was. I'd have to look back at the history, whether it was injuries or discipline or whatever it was. Ferreira is an excellent lightweight. Ooh, accidentally clicked off. Such a good lightweight. And it's sad because of all these mistakes he's made in his career. It doesn't really reflect that, but Ferreira is a treat to watch. Dawson, you know, not the most exciting style, but he's incredibly skilled. But Ferreira's also got that stand-up edge against him. So if this ends up back on the feet, we saw Ferreira absolutely shut the lights out on Michael Johnson, who is an excellent striker who just got a knockout. So we got to go with Ferreira. And that's another underdog. Just two underdogs on the early prelims. I'm doing y'all a favor. I think the bout order has actually been mixed up now since the cancellations and Walker having to drop out and things like that. Ferreira and Dawson may now be on the first fight on the prelims is what I'm thinking. So 2 underdogs so far going in, and a high finish potential between Nakamura, Gafarov, and I think Sopaj and Tercios. Dawson, Ferreira, they may grapple so much that they don't ever get to enough of stand-up to finish, but I think Ferreira is going to win those exchanges. Moving on to our prelim bouts, a canceled original bout, I think it was Reese and Cedric Dumas, but now they got Bekoev, and wow, it's same kind of thing that happened last week's card. The people who got last-minute replacements, they did not do them any favors. Bekoev, minus 230 coming in. I just got those odds today, and they're pretty accurate. Bekoev is not a good style against Reese. Reese, I don't like him because he allowed the advancement of Cody Brundge's fraudulent career. So, yeah, we're going with Bekoev there, and that's all I'm going to say on that, to be honest. Next. Let me loosen up a bit for this next one. Almeida versus Spivac. Oh, the haters gonna love this one. We're going with Spivac. All right, I am a big Spivac stan. I love Spivac mainly because he's shown improvements throughout time. Whenever he first came onto the scene, purely just that scrappy grappler who's gonna get you down, pound you out, and maybe like tire you out for a submission. Nowadays, I feel like he is elevated in so many different areas. His bottom game, as you saw in his last fight, getting that arm bar. I think his stand-up is advanced. I mean, obviously he got knocked out against Cyril Gane, but you're talking about the top. You're talking about the top of the division, all right? And that's a tough outing. I mean, Cyril Gane's got great takedown defense. He sometimes has bad at fight IQ in terms of falling into leg locks and crap, but I think he's probably left that behind, which gave Spivac a pretty hard time. But I think Spivac is just on a different mindset now. I think he's just gonna break Almeida. What really is kind of convincing me of that is because how much Almeida was scared to really try and go for a finish on Derek Lewis, whereas Spivac was all over Derek Lewis, and if I'm remembering correctly. And that just shows to me Almeida has a confidence issue with guys that are much larger than now. I don't think Spivac has a massive size advantage on. I think 1 inch in height, and I think they're actually a similar weight. Both these guys, I think, with Almeida maybe cutting a bit of muscle mass could get to 205, and Spivac, I think, cutting a bit of fat could get to 205. No shade there. Hey, we all got a little bit on us. It's okay. But I think Spivac has just been through so much more growth than Almeida. I think he's closed that gap that I don't think Almeida is going to get Spivac down. I don't think Almeida is going to have that enough later on in the fight. Maybe early in the first round we'll see it, but I think Spivac really will have that ability to take over. I think Almeida's explosive style is not conducive to those later rounds if you have a grappler who is actually giving you a lot of resistance. And that's maybe why he wasn't so active in that Derek Lewis fight going for a finish, because he didn't want to gas himself out. They end up on the feet, and Derek Lewis then knocks him out. That's just my opinion. That's my read. I don't know if it's a great read. I know a lot of people are picking Almeida, and the odds obviously reflect that, but I'm a Spivac stan, son, and this is going to be you talking about why I call it an emotional underdog? That's why we call it an emotional underdog, baby. Spivac, all right, underdog pick. Read it and weep. Next, Talbott versus Barcelos. Come on. It's Talbott. I mean, the odds may be a little crazy, maybe like a minus 700. 500 maybe is a little more appropriate, but Barcelo's been through it, man. He's been through it. He's had a long career, and Talbot he's going to go in there with a great chin, hardly been damaged, great grappling, great striking, faster. He's got that one boop power, as we've seen. It's going to be a sad one to watch, to be honest. I love Payton Talbot. I love his style, and I love his personality. I love his alternative art that he does. That is so cool to me. But yeah, it's gonna be easy Talbot win. Hopefully we get a quick fight after this one, and someone will actually take a fight against Talbot and try to maybe take some of that hype from him. But I don't see it happening. I think we're gonna have to wait another 5 months at the minimum for him, but we'll see. Next we got Guskov and Elekana, another last minute replacement. Rip Johnny Walker. Should've went up to heavyweight. Told you. Probably fucking injured himself doing the weight cut, and probably just pushed too hard. Wouldn't have to worry about that if you were going to heavyweight, but it's fine. Guskov's going to boop him, though. Guskov's going to definitely boop him. He's going to knock him out. Not much else to say on that one, to be honest. But high finish potential. Guskov, Elekana, Talbot, Barcelos. Those are like guaranteed finishes in my opinion. Next, moving on to our main card. Oh, also, Guskov is an easy favorite to bet on. Easy favorite to bet on. Definitely hit that one up. Got that in the parlay, I think. Main card bouts. The haters gonna hate this one too. We're going Kevin Holland, baby. Look, a lot of people, I think everyone has been discussing for this matchup, this psychology is what's going to play into this, whether Kevin Holland is coming to win or not. And even his interviews recently have been worrying, whether he's talked to recently that he said something along the lines of, me and my team, we're going to go in there with a game plan. Don't know if I'll listen to it. If I feel like I'm in a listening mood, I will, but it could just turn into a scrap, and that's what the fans love. You don't love to hear that when he's going against a grappler in the middleweight division. That's not worked out well for him in the past. I think it was Thiago Santos. Marvin Vettori, right? I'm not misremembering that, right? Holland lost to Marvin Vettori as well. I'm going to have to look that up. But yeah, this has been a common thing that happens with Kevin Holland. But I think the Ritter is that bad on the feet. And I think he's kind of sloppy in his takedowns too. Obviously, he beat GM3, but in terms of matchup styles, that was kind of a great matchup for him to take because it's kind of like a older... I don't want to say GM3 and D. Ritter have the same style, but it's kind of just like an older version of himself at like a very similar skill level. So it's like, okay, was that really a challenging matchup for him? I think Holland is going to see that last fight, and I think he's going to understand he has to stay at distance. This is the big cage. Keep at kicking distance, and even when he's at kicking distance, Holland will turn that chin with that rear hand. I really think he will. I think Holland will absolutely sleep De Ritter. I think this is a finish. I wouldn't necessarily bet on this fight. I don't think it's a good fight to bet on. I think both these guys present very unpredictable things that you just can't really safely put a bet on this, but I'm going with Holland, man. I really, it's tough to see. I'm going to be making a video soon about comparing the careers of him and Buckley since they had fought and Holland knocked him out, because it is truly a tale of two, I feel, opposite careers that started in very similar places. But yeah, I really want to see Holland win this. I guess you can call this an emotional underdog, even though they're both coin toss odds. I think they may have even shifted more toward De Ridder in the time I've recorded this, but we're gonna go with Holland. Next, Dariush versus Money Moicano. Okay, we're going with Money Moicano for a couple reasons. They're the same age, so I'm not saying like Dariush is like taken more damage than Moicano necessarily, because Moicano's had his fair share. I just think Dariush, in terms of recent fights, has taken more damage. And that's not good to see. And I think Moicano has a very anti-scramble style for jiu-jitsu. I think we saw that in the BSD fight. BSD also has great scramble ability. I think Dariush and Gamrot's scramble ability is higher than BSD's, but I think Moicano, if he gets it to the ground, at least in the first round, Dariush is going to be able to scramble well, but that's where Moicano is going to get those grappling reads to where he's going to be able to stop those scrambles from Dariush. I think once you get to that second, third round, I think Moicano is going to take over, and I really think Moicano is going to use more straight, educated shots on the feet instead of going in recklessly against Dariush, whereas a lot of his opponents have. And I think he's just going to play it safe. I think Moicano is a very intelligent fighter. I think he goes in with great game plans. And he pulls out wins that you just don't expect him to pull out. Him being a favorite's a little scary, honestly. It's weird to see Moicano as a favorite. But, yeah, I think we're going to go with Moicano on this one. A Dariush win wouldn't surprise me if he really, really hurts Moicano badly in the first round, and then that it's hard for Moicano to bounce back from that. But again, we've seen Moicano bounce back from that. We've seen him bounce back from that in the Jalen Turner fight. So who knows? Who knows? But I think I got Moicano here. I wouldn't put a safe bet on that. Ooh, no, I've revealed. No, I didn't mean to do it early. Yes, we're going with Jiří Procházka. We're going with the Samurai, baby. This is not a good fight to bet on, though. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is a terrible fight to bet on. Both these guys have insane knockout ability. Both these guys are willing to go hard, all right? I think you can see that in both of their Glover Teixeira fights. They're willing to take some damage to give some as well. Hill, I don't think he has the footwork to get away from the onslaught that's going to be coming at him in terms of a 3-round fight against Jiří, where Jiří is probably going to feel a lot of freedom to kind of go at him. I think Hill, he lets himself, at least in the Ferreira fight, it felt that he was letting the intelligent pressure of Ferreira, of just the subtle movements that he was doing to get Hill backed up a little more and more and more. I think Yuri's going to do that in a much different way than Ferreira does, obviously. He uses a lot weirder and bigger movements with his body, with his head movement, with his footwork, with his feints. I still think that's going to really work well on Hill. Hill may try to stand his base early, but once I think the first big shot lands for Jiří, Hill is going to start backing up more. He's going to start backing up more, and when Jiří gets you and your back against that cage, Jiří doesn't clinch you. He touches you up and makes you not really know which side you should be exiting out of. I think that's where Hill is going to get caught. Could definitely go to Hill, though. Hill could absolutely catch Jiří's chin, because at this point, Jiří's chin is very questionable. Very questionable. The fact that he was even able to take the shot of Ferreira at the end of the first round and then not be knocked out and go into the second round and eat a head kick, sadly. And then stand up after that head kick, I think is crazy. I think Jiří's chin will hold up. I think it will, but it could also very well get smashed by Hill. So not a safe fight to bet on, in my opinion. Going to our next one, the title fight for the 135-pound bantamweight belt, Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Is it weird that I want Merab to win? I mean, I kind of like the underdog story of the Georgian beating the Russian. I think it's really good for the morale of the country, but politics aside, we sadly have to pick Umar Nurmagomedov. What really got it for me were two things. Sean O'Malley exposing that Merab can be hurt to the body. Those front kicks up the middle, which Umar does really well. They're not the same as Sean O'Malley's, but I think Umar is going to see that and is going to be able to apply it not just with the front. He's going to be able to apply it in different ways. And I think that's going to be one piece of it. And that's going to get Merab thinking and moving more defensively if he sees that Umar is going to try and take advantage of that. And another thing is I think most people expect Merab to come at Umar fast, quickly, and really try to put the pace on early to prove a point. I think that's what most people are expecting. I just don't see these concerns for like gas tank. I don't see these concerns for like grappling defense. I don't know where I can find any of it. Umar, I don't think actually has any of those holes. I think it was a little questionable to see him not fully dominate the grappling against Corey. I love Corey Sandhagen, great fighter. I think he grew a lot after the TJ Dillashaw fight in terms of the fight IQ and what he should be doing if the grappling is coming offensively toward him. And I think he made a lot of great adjustments for the Umar fight, but Umar still showed enough, in my opinion, where Sandhagen's defenses that he was doing to stop Umar from taking the back. I don't think Merab really likes doing those types of things. It's just not going to be the same kind of grappling fight, and I think Umar is going to have a much easier time defending takedowns and just making Merab pay for when they break from those takedowns. And I think Umar may even try to offensively wrestle back, which is, I think, a mistake that so many people make is where you shouldn't offensively wrestle a grappler who is much better than you unless that offensive grappling move you're about to do is low risk and will at least somehow get them thinking defensively. Like very low risk things like foot sweeps and things like that are super low risk will just help deter a lot of the momentum that a grappler like Merab can build. So I think Umar is going to he's going to apply a lot of that for this one, I think. And I also think he's a safe bet. I think he's a safe favorite to bet. And I really hate even saying that because I like Merab's personality a lot. The fighting style, not so much. It's okay. It's okay. It's an okay fighting style. But I love his personality, man. I think he's actually a genuinely pretty decent dude. So it's going to be rough if we do see this kind of shake out the way it does. And I guess Umar is going to fight O'Malley after that. But it is what it is. We're moving on. Makhachev versus Tsarukyan. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. The hater's going to hate this one. The hater's going to hate this one. We're going with Arman. Why are you picking Arman, Lamona Rona? Why would you pick him? That's such a silly pick. Makhachev's #1 pound for pound. Why would you do this? The reason why I'm doing this is because I see Arman Tsarukyan as a younger-ish kind of situation because he is a younger man. I think 28 against Makhachev's 33. I think of Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. Obviously, Makhachev, Max Holloway, leagues apart in terms of their style. But I'm talking more in terms of builds. Makhachev knows how to take down people of all types of builds. There's no like build that he's going to be like, oh, I don't know how to take this type of guy down. But the fact that Tsarukyan is shorter by a whole, I think, 4 inches, I think it's going to play a lot differently this time around. Because we also have 5 rounds. I want you guys to remember how much the first time around, Volkanovski, how well he did against Makhachev in the grappling. Makhachev put out excuses about, it was a bad cut, bad rehydration. Pretty sure he had an IV to rehydrate. I'm pretty sure that was a big scandal at the time. So I really don't care about excuses, to be honest. That crap's dumb to me. Man, and look, I think Tsarukyan, he is going to come in with a very specific game plan. I don't think he's going to just kind of throw it out the window, which what it looked like kind of happened with Oliveira. I think he looked a little shaky in that fight. Won it very well. I think won it definitively too, even with the submission attempts. I know that's an unpopular opinion, and I'm a big Oliveira fan. But I think Tsarukyan is going to come in with an arsenal that Makhachev is not going to be ready for, and I think the grappling defense is going to be on a whole other level for Tsarukyan. I think watching that Dustin Poirier fight is going to give Arman a confidence that it's going to be too big for Makhachev to handle. I really do believe that. Look, it's not going to be an easy fight. Tsarukyan is not just going to run through Makhachev, but I really think once you get to these 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, you're going to see a Makhachev that is not prepared for the strength and the cardio that Arman's going to bring in from everything he's seen so far in Islam in these championship fights. You now have a ton of info on Islam. In my opinion, I think that intel is going to be the key for Arman here. The thing is Arman's fight IQ good enough? Because he has all the tools to win. It is anyone saying he cannot win, he has all the tools to win. All of them. It's just a matter of, can he do it? And I really just think he will. I think he will. I think we're going to see a new lightweight champ. I'm pretty disappointed in his recent comments of just wanting to go for money fights. I would love to see a 28-year-old, a young dude, like run the gambit and actually build a legacy. I would actually like to see that, but I don't know if that's what we'll get. And part of me kind of wishes Arman will lose because of that recent comment. I don't like that. As a fan, I don't appreciate that at all. I appreciate Islam way more now than I did prior because of the performance he's on. The fact that he even took a fight against Dustin Poirier. I mean, maybe he thought Islam isn't so disrespectful. He thought it was like a free title defense. I don't think he would ever think that. But it's not like Poirier was his hardest test at that time, and he still took that fight and made it a scrap. I thought that was a fantastic fight. Fight of the year, in my opinion, in terms of the technique being shown. That was just so much fun. Yeah. It's a little depressing to pick Arman, but I really think with all the knowledge of what we've seen from Islam so far, I can see him being broken. I've seen it now in 2 fights at the end of the Volkanovski fight, and not necessarily breaking at the Dustin fight, but you shouldn't be having, in my opinion, as much trouble as you did. I think Arman's just going to expose that. I really think he will. Let me know what you think I got wrong with these picks. This was obviously a wild boy card, our last emotional underdog as to top it all off too. Parlay of the card. All right, this is a fire parlay right here. Guskov, Ferreira, Talbott. I think that comes out to plus 385. That is the parlay of the century right there. Definitely go with that parlay. And, I'll see you for UFC 311, ya goons.